shoulder, arms. Australia's Federation Guard, General Salute, present, arms. Guard, shoulder, arms. Guard, order, arms. shoulder, arms.
Morning, Prime Minister.
Morning.
Beautiful Canberra day.
Good to be here. It is lovely.
Guard, order, arms. Guard, stand at ease. Guard, attention. Guard, shoulder, arms. Australia's Federation Guard, General Salute, present, arms. Guard, shoulder, arms. Guard, order, arms. Guard, stand at ease.
Ms Sam Mostyn, Governor-General Designate of the Commonwealth of Australia.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The Commission, from His Majesty the King, appointing Ms Samantha Joy Mostyn AC to be the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia. Charles III, by the grace of God, King of Australia and his other realms and territories, Head of the Commonwealth. To Samantha Joy Mostyn, Companion of the Order of Australia, greeting. We do, by this our commission under our sign manual and the Great Seal of Australia, appoint you, Samantha Joy Mostyn, to be, during our pleasure, our Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia. And we do authorise, empower and command you to exercise and perform all and singular the powers and directions contained in the letters patent issued by Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on 21 August 2008 relating to the office of Governor-General, or in future letters patent relating to that office, according to such instructions as our Governor-General for the time being may have received or may in future receive from us, and according to such laws as are from time to time in force. And we do declare that the powers conferred by this our Commission include any future powers that may in future be assigned to the Governor-General in accordance with Section 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Australia. The Commission is signed at its head, Charles R., and was given at the court at Buckingham Palace on 4 June 2024. It is countersigned by His Majesty's Command, Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister. I now invite the Chief Justice of Australia to inspect the Commission. The Chief Justice will now administer the affirmation of allegiance, followed by the affirmation of office.
I invite you to make the affirmation of allegiance.
I, Samantha Joy Mostyn, do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law.
I now invite you to make the affirmation of office.
Thank you, Chief Justice. I, Samantha Joy Mostyn, do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that I will well and truly serve His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law, in the office of the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia, and I will do right to all manner of people after the laws and usages of the Commonwealth of Australia, without fear or favour, affection or ill will. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Your Excellency, having now made the affirmation of allegiance and the affirmation of office, I invite you to sign the instrument proclaiming that you have assumed the office of the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia. The Proclamation. Whereas His Majesty King Charles III has been graciously pleased by commission under his Royal Sign Manual and the Great Seal of Australia, dated 4 June 2024, to appoint me, Samantha Joy Mostyn, Companion of the Order of Australia, to be Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia. Now, therefore, I proclaim that I have this day made the prescribed affirmation of allegiance and the prescribed affirmation of office of the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia before the Honourable Chief Justice of Australia, and that I have assumed the office accordingly. Signed and to be sealed with the Great Seal of Australia on 1 July 2024, Samantha Joy Mostyn, Governor-General, and countersigned by His Excellency's Command, Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister.
I acknowledge that this morning we gather on the lands of the traditional custodians, the Ngunnawal, and recognise any other people or families with connections to the lands of the ACT and surrounding regions. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I also acknowledge the very many First Nations elders, leaders and young people present here in the chamber this morning, who bring their languages and cultures from lands around the country. And a very special thank you to Auntie Serena Williams, Ngunnawal Elder, for your very warm welcome and a beautiful smoking ceremony as we entered Parliament House. And to Duncan Smith and his family, the Wiradjuri Echoes, for escorting us so beautifully into this place. I would also like to offer a very special acknowledgement to Australia's Federation Guard, whose first salute to me this morning on the forecourt reminds us of the deep and long-standing bond between the Office of the Governor-General and the Australian Defence Forces. A bond that has particular importance for me as the daughter of an Army officer who served Australia in that capacity for almost 40 years. The Honourable Anthony Albanese MP, Prime Minister of Australia, and Ms Jodie Hayden. Senator the Honourable Sue Lines, President of the Senate. The Honourable Milton Dick, MP, Speaker of the House of Representatives. The Honourable Chief Justice Stephen Gageler, AC, Chief Justice of the High Court, and his fellow justices. Members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Honourable Peter Dutton, MP, Leader of the Opposition, members and senators, distinguished guests, and my dear friends and colleagues, many of whom are sitting in the gallery together, some having come to our Parliament for the very first time this morning. Sitting here today alongside parliamentary, business and sports people are community workers, carers, youth employment advisors, family and domestic violence specialists, allied health experts, organisers of sporting clubs and networks, as well as volunteers, students and representatives of communities, charities and care organisations from across the country. These people are at the heart of our communities and our country. I've had the great privilege of working with and learning from all of you over the many years, and know that you encapsulate the very best of Australian values. I am, of course, especially pleased to be joined today by my family, by my father, retired Colonel Bill Mostyn, who will turn 90 just shortly later this month, and by my sisters, Alex, Suzanne and Sally, and their families, and by my husband, Simeon, and our daughter, Lottie, and all of Simeon's family. Of course, today I miss the presence of my mother, Jenny, who, if she was still alive, she'd be the proudest person here. I stand here now as Australia's 28th Governor-General, immensely conscious of this great honour and privilege. I warmly thank the Prime Minister for inviting me to serve, and I thank His Majesty the King for appointing me. When announcing my appointment, Prime Minister, you said you sought a modern, optimistic Governor-General capable of uniting and celebrating the very best of Australia. In the past few months since accepting the position, I've reflected very deeply on your words. I've had to ask myself many questions about the role and impact of the Office of Governor-General in 2024. I decided there was only one way to answer these questions: to get on the road and listen to people. Listen carefully to those with unique experiences and insights. My first priority was to meet with all 5 living former Governors-General, including my immediate predecessor, General David Hurley. I congratulate and thank General and Mrs Hurley for their very fine service to our country over so many years. In addition to standing with so many Australians in the aftermath of natural disasters, they've performed their duties during the difficult COVID years. Simeon and I wish them the very best for their years ahead and thank them for their warm and gracious welcome to Government House. Now, it was a rare and special privilege for me to meet all former Governors-General. All showed me great kindness and encouragement and shared their wise advice, drawing on so much of the history of Australia over recent decades. In particular, I thank Dame Quentin Bryce, our country's first woman Governor-General. Her quiet dignity, experience and thoughtful counsel remained vital for me to understand as only the second woman to serve in this office. I also met all governors of our 6 states and many former governors, and I promised to meet the Northern Territory Administrator early in my term. I met the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition and many former Prime Ministers and Premiers. In late May, I spent time with His Majesty King Charles at Buckingham Palace, and I took the opportunity in that private meeting to pass on the best wishes of Australians for his and the Princess of Wales's health. I am not the first Australian to be struck by the interest and warmth the King feels for this country where he lived and studied as a young man. In recent months, I've also spent time with people in our cities, in our regions and in the country, from businesses, civil society, philanthropy, frontline services and community organisations, as well as our scientific, sports, arts and cultural sectors. And every day I met impressive Australians who do not hold high office or any office at all. I listened to them in airports, in shopping centres, on the boundaries of sporting grounds, in theatre foyers and galleries, and just often on the street. Women and men, and often children, stop me regularly to talk about this country they love. Across a wide range of backgrounds, life experiences and opinions, all of them wished for a brighter future for Australia, and a desire for unity and optimism, a renewed sense of national possibility in building the future together. It struck me that the former Governors-General whom I met expressed the same desires for this country in almost the same words as did everyday Australians. They also reminded me that the role of Governor-General is not simply to be an observer of an Australian life, but to be a participant, to reflect the Australian character and its fundamentally democratic spirit. In a speech in 1993, 11 years after his retirement, former Governor-General Sir Zelman Cowen said, "Through this work, the Governor-General offers encouragement and recognition to Australians, many of whom may not be very powerful or visible in the course of daily life, and encouragement and recognition to the efforts of individuals and groups who work constructively to improve life in the nation and community." Sir Zelman also said that the Governor-General had an opportunity to promote unity and heal divisions against the passions and rancour of partisan politics. In his Australia Day address of 2001, Sir William Dean expressed a vision of Australians walking together, talking together, caring together, working together and achieving together. Sir William added that if we hold fast to this vision, we can face any challenge ahead. Today, for me, these words feel especially resonant. Everyone I spoke with, from former Prime Ministers to people in the street, proudly described our country as confident and successful. Yet in 2024, it's true that contemporary challenges are placing strains on that confidence. Many Australians expressed concerns about the global political environment and the range of conflicts around the world at this time. They ask whether young Australians will enjoy the benefits of this country in the way that older generations have. There is concern for rising lack of respect for women, of shrinking opportunities for some men, and the need for respectful conversations to understand the place of men in our communities now. Of growing inequality in a country that has always held equality dear. Of sometimes feeling this personally through a cost of living challenge where making ends meet has become harder for many. And of the lingering impacts of COVID-19 pandemic, the pernicious impact of social media we hear about every day, and the challenges to our mental health as a nation. Finally, and very constructively, many people express their concern that we might lose our capacity to conduct robust and passionate arguments and debate with civility and respect, without resorting to rancour or violence. Yet despite all these challenges, I will always feel tremendous optimism for Australia. I often reflect on the words of Cape York leader Noel Pearson. His three-part portrait of our nation frames who we are. In his words, our Indigenous foundation of 65,000 years, our British institutions, and our remarkable multicultural present and future. Noel's words capture so much of what is mighty about this country, the things we should celebrate, be thankful for, and fight to strengthen. A country with extraordinary advantages of geography and resources, and the generous sharing of the oldest continuing culture in the world. A country that since the end of World War II, in less time than an average lifespan, has welcomed 7.5 million migrants, including 950,000 refugees, to our country. On my way to the United Kingdom in May, I called in on one of those migrants, Australia's ambassador to the United Arab Emirates, Mr. Ridwan Jadwat. As a non-white person born in apartheid South Africa, Ridwan was denied his full human rights until he migrated with his family to Australia as a boy. Today, Ridwan says he still pinches himself that he now serves this country in which diversity, as he said in a recent speech, is absolutely fundamental to who we are and where we are going as a people. Ridwan is one of the many Australians who are showing their brilliance on the global stage. In April this year, Catherine Bennell-Pegg became the first to qualify as an astronaut under the Australian flag when she graduated from the European Space Agency program. In the same week, Bigambul and Kamilaroi artist Archie Moore's extraordinary exhibition, Kith and Kin, won the Golden Lion Award for Best National Pavilion at the Venice Biennale, the first time in history an Australian artist has received this accolade. And nearly a year ago, during the FIFA Women's World Cup, the remarkable young women of the Matildas seized our imaginations with their skill, their courage, their camaraderie and their sheer verve, their willingness to take the game on and not to stop till it's done. The thoughts and excited hopes of all Australians go with them and also with our entire Olympic and Paralympic teams as they take the stage in Paris over the next 2 months. We are all going to be terribly excited to watch our teams in action during the Olympics. So whenever I think of what we as a people can do, I now think of the extraordinary quality and range of the recipients of Australian of the Year awards. The writers, doctors, advocates, actors, scientists, soldiers, volunteers and sports people, among many others, whose courage and imagination have inspired us. There are some in the gallery joining us today. I think of the current recipients, Professor Georgina Long, AO, and Professor Richard Scolyer, AO, who pioneered a breakthrough treatment for melanoma, our national cancer, it is called, that has saved many thousands of lives. Professor Scolyer, as you would all know, then applied their treatment to his own seemingly incurable brain cancer, an act of astonishing, go-for-broke bravery that seems just so typically Australian to me. Many Australians make a less prominent but also indispensable contribution to their communities every single day. As your Governor-General and with Simeon, we will attend many functions and meet many Australians who make these contributions. I hope to encourage these Australians to lift up their voices so that we can all hear them and learn of their courage, imagination and care for our community. We hope to share their stories and, when appropriate, to pass them on to those who govern this country. We will visit places often overlooked and will pay attention to Australians who have much to teach us. Undertaking such work is perhaps what another former holder of this office, Sir Ninian Stephen, meant when he described the role of Governor-General as depicting a nation to its people. If I can capture in a few words my aspirations for our country, I believe that these testing times call for an unstinting focus on kindness, on care, and on respect. Across my career, and particularly in the past decade, I've seen how care can be an uplifting force. I've seen it in the reform of workplaces where inclusion and respect now prevail. I've seen it in our renewed focus on the roles of teachers, nurses, care workers, volunteers and all frontline workers, not just during the crises of bushfires, floods and COVID-19, although very much amplified by those times. I've seen it in the advancement of women in all parts of our society, in leadership roles, in sport, in economics, in our regulators, even, slowly but importantly, in the trades and on building sites. While too much paid and unpaid care still falls to women, we are now focused on addressing that challenge, while also encouraging men to confidently take on care roles and responsibilities with pride. That's not just good for women and men, but for our economy and our entire Australian society. Care is at the heart of our distress at the shocking number of deaths of women through family violence, and at the heart of our growing acceptance and celebration of cultural, sexual and gender diversity in all its forms. Our focus on mental health, particularly for young Australians, is an act of care, as is the focus on our aged and disability sectors, where respect and dignity will define that care. I hope we can continue to extend that sense of care to our stunningly beautiful continent, landscapes and the natural environment, but also to our institutions, our public debates and our sense of civic responsibility, to the way in which we challenge ourselves and one another and engage in the contest of ideas that will guide the tough decisions that are needed for our country to thrive. And care has a deep and resonant place in our Australian identity. Care is that gentle thought and the outstretched hand that Australians have always been ready to share when great challenges present themselves. Care is the quieter, better part of ourselves, and it is that sense of care that Simeon and I will seek to depict and amplify as we take on this role. I could not have attained this position or any position I've been lucky to fill without the friendship, loyalty and care of the people around me, many of whom I've expressed my thanks to today. I wish above all, though, to acknowledge my husband Simeon and our daughter Lottie, knowing that their lives will be profoundly changed by my appointment. They have shown me only grace and love in their support. I thank them with all my heart. Prime Minister, everyone in the chamber, all Australians, I'm ready and able to undertake the role you have entrusted in me. I will be an optimistic, modern and visible Governor-General, committed to the service and contribution that all Australians expect and deserve from the holder of this office. Ahead of her time, Dame Quentin Bryce described this in 2013 as striking a balance between observing traditions and protocol and being thoroughly contemporary. I'll remain alive to changing expectations and needs, whilst holding fast to the respect for the role and its place in our peaceful democracy. I believe that our democracy is the golden thread that unites Australians across this vast continent and down the generations. I am keen to begin the work of professionally and conscientiously discharging my executive and constitutional responsibilities, presiding over the meetings of Executive Council, leading and administering our honours and awards system, and when called upon, to be Australia's representative in international engagements. Most of all, Simeon and I look forward to engaging with Australians in the many places we will visit, and as long as I hold this post, I will do my utmost to reflect your hopes and aspirations, to stand with you in tough times and to celebrate your victories, great and small, to listen to you, to learn from you, and as Sir William Dean might have said, to walk with you. we can be optimistic, confident and proud as we build our extraordinary nation's future together. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, Prime Minister, Ms Hayden, Ministers, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Parliament House for this reception on the occasion of the swearing-in of Her Excellency Ms Sam Mostyn, Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia. Would you please welcome Auntie Serena Williams, Ngunnawal Elder, who will deliver a welcome to country.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a very proud Ngunnawal Wiradjuri woman and very proud to be here this morning to do a welcome to country. I'd like to acknowledge Her Excellency, the Honourable Sam Mostyn, the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia. His Excellency, Mr Simon Beckett. Our courageous and great Prime Minister, the Honourable Anthony Albanese, and his partner, Miss Jodie Hayden. I'd also like to welcome here today and acknowledge the Senator Honourable Sue Lyons, President of the Senate, the Honourable Milton Dick, the Speaker of the House and Representatives, the Honourable Chief Justice Stephen Gallagher, Chief of the Justice of the High Court of Australia, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Honourable Peter Dutton, Leader of the Opposition, members and senators, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my brother Duncan Smith and his beautiful children from the Radri Echoes, Bevan, Dylan and Jaquita, all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today, particularly the Honourable Linda Burney, Minister of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Before I do this welcome to country, as a gifting, I had my niece bring over to me last night a coolaman that she freshly carved off the tree and had this ochre for you to represent the three river systems of a strong songline that runs through this beautiful country here on Ngunnawal. To your right, you have Mount Ainslie, which is one of the breast. To your left, you have Black Mount Tower, which is another breast, and her womb sits up here on Parliament. She is protected by all the warriors, the Ngunnawal warriors and men on the outside. Her hip comes up and her legs graciously go around the mountains and her feet sit in the Murrumbidgee. This arm sits in Molonglo and this sits in the Ginninderry. I stand here as a woman, a proud woman, Ngunnawal Radri, and understand my roles and obligations to my country. Love my community, love my people, and stand in the front line for women's business, as I'm very passionate about that. But I'm here to do a welcome to country to a great woman, a great Governor-General that will be coming, is now Her Excellency, that is coming here to take her journey and her obligations and roles and responsibilities. And I proudly welcome you here to country, acknowledging my elders, past, present and future, and that passage that you come through when I spoke to you here onto country, respecting my people, my ancestors and the country that you live and work on. And thank you all for coming through that. And I say in my revitalised language, I say, Yumulandi, Yeramora Nanawaldura, hello, come. I will sweep the lands for you to leave the footprints here on beautiful Ngunnawal country. Najan, the water of the Royal, the Murrumbidgee, the Molonglo, the Gudgeonbee and Ginninderry, that will cleanse you of all harm. And Mullian, Mullian is the wedge-tail eagle, the totem of the Ngunnawal people, and she will guide, protect and oversee you here on this journey. I stand here proudly and I say on behalf of myself, other Ngunnawal elders and Ngunnawal family groups, I welcome you here to the beautiful land of the Ngunnawal. Welcome, 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 Your Excellency. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie Serena. Please be upstanding for the national anthems.
See
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honourable Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister.
Well, thank you very much, and I also begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land on which we meet today, and I pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, and I thank Arnie Serena for that wonderful welcome to country. I thank all those First Nations people who've participated in today's ceremony. Acknowledgement and reconciliation lifts us all up as a nation, and today your presence, including the wonderful dancers and the leading us in to the building, as well as the singers of our national anthem in First Nations language as well as in English, is a reminder that we have a great privilege of sharing this great island continent of ours with the oldest living culture on the planet. It is such a pleasure to be with you here today on what is a very momentous day. I also thank all members of the Diplomatic Corps who are joining us here today, the members of the Australian Defence Force who have joined with us today, and of course all of my parliamentary colleagues from across the House of Representatives and the Senate who are with us here today as well, including former members, governors who are here, as well as other very much distinguished guests. The reason we're here, of course, is because of Her Excellency, our new Governor-General Sam Mostyn, Australia's 28th Governor-General, and her husband Simeon Beckett. The swearing in of a Governor-General is a bright moment in the life of our nation, but it isn't one which we approach lightly. We are a young nation on an ancient continent, yet the democracy that has defined us for 123 years is numbered amongst the world's oldest, and the Governor-General has always been at the heart of it. It is high office, but it is not lofty. For all the pomp of its origins, the role of Governor-General is one that has become firmly rooted amongst the Australian people. In the course of their duties, the Governor-General meets so many Australians from so many different walks of life and in so many different circumstances. A Governor-General stands by us, celebrating our good times and offering comfort and quiet strength during our times of trial. And while guided by tradition, it is certainly not blind to the future. Over the years, we have seen different Governors-General applying an emphasis of their own choosing, whether it was Sir Ninian Stephen with his touch of healing, Sir Zelman Cowen's vision of the Governor-General as interpreter of a nation, or Dame Quinton Bryce and her desire to strike a balance between observing traditions and protocol and being thoroughly contemporary. Over the past week, we have expressed our admiration for the retiring Governor-General and Her Excellency Mrs Hurley and the great calibre of their contribution. Jodie and I were able to welcome them to the Lodge for the first time last evening, and they go with very much the thanks of a nation. Today we begin a new chapter with Australia's 28th Governor-General, Sam Mostyn. We share the great fortune of living in a modern and optimistic nation, a nation made generous and courageous by our people. In Her Excellency Sam Mostyn, our nation has the right leader. Your Excellency, you are a person of intelligence and compassion, of loyalty and integrity. You have clear eyes and a big heart, and both have shaped your vision of who and what we can be as a nation. Throughout your life and across your great breadth of experience in the worlds of law and business and sport, the not-for-profit sector, you have always been ready to put yourself forward for others. For many of the people here and who were in the Senate chamber a short while ago to hear your magnificent first speech as Governor-General, when you spoke about compassion, kindness, optimism, equity, including gender equity. What I know, as someone who has known you for a long period of time, is that Her Excellency's words weren't just words. They are the way that she has lived her entire life. And they are the qualities that she will bring to representing our nation as Governor-General. Your Excellency, you have walked the talk, a human catalyst with an unrelenting capacity for making things happen. You have blazed so many trails for women. You have pushed open the doors of opportunity and equality. You have made a real difference for Indigenous Australians. You have added to the environmental and cultural health of our nation. For decades, you have been driven by a desire to make a difference in the lives of your fellow Australians, now and for future generations. The very sense of fairness that is the beating heart of our identity as Australians is something that you embody. In 1999, the Australian Financial Review described you as, to quote them, bound for glory. Yet glory is something that you have never sought. In 2019, your good friend who's with us here today, the playwright Susie Miller, had this to say of you. She inspires me. I wish she would be less modest. While Susie's wish may never be granted, she is one more reminder of how profoundly you value and nurture friendship and everything that true friendship means. I am glad you have Simeon and Lottie with you on this journey. For Simeon, as a public law barrister who has worked in so many crucial realms, he too has made a positive difference in the lives of so many. Together, you are a truly wonderful partnership. Your Excellency, you have lived your life in the service of a powerful Australian principle. When more people have the opportunity to fulfil their potential, our nation is a better place. With you as Governor-General, our future is in very good hands indeed. Congratulations.
The Honourable Peter Dutton, Leader of the Opposition.
Aunty Serena, to you and to your family, thank you very much for the beautiful welcome to country and the way in which you have engaged with the Governor-General over a long period of time. I want to acknowledge that today. It's a very special day for you, for your country, but also for you individually. Thank you very much to Prime Minister for the very fine words. I also acknowledge Jodie Hayden, Your Excellencies, fellow parliamentarians. I too, as the Governor-General, was gracious enough to acknowledge in her speech in the Senate chamber before, acknowledge the amazing men and women in uniform here today who form such a big part of the Governor-General's role. To distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, the face of the Governor-General may change, but the role, of course, remains the same. Today, it's our honour and our privilege to welcome a new face to a role as old as the Australian nation. Your Excellency, on behalf of the Coalition and Federal Opposition, congratulations on your swearing in as Australia's 28th Governor-General. To Mr Simeon Beckett, Your Excellency, again congratulations to you as our new Governor-General carries out her demanding public responsibilities. There will be no one more important by her side than her loving and supporting spouse. And we wish you well for the public responsibilities you assume by association. Ladies and gentlemen, before I say something about our new Governor-General and her duties to come, I pay tribute to duties done. Although they are not present today, as the Prime Minister acknowledged earlier, I do want to acknowledge and thank General the Honourable David Hurley, our 27th Governor-General, and Mrs Hurley. Their service has been superb. Their duties have been carried out with decorum, their conduct marked by the utmost competence and compassion. On his swearing in, our 27th Governor-General said his aim was to, and I quote, highlight to all Australians their inherent strengths, their concern for the common good, their humanity and decency, and their desire for a fair go. Both he and Mrs Hurley have done exactly that, especially as Australians face destructive bushfires, devastating floods and the demoralisation of the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, in October 1972, Sir Paul Hasluck, our 17th Governor-General, delivered a masterful lecture on the office he occupied. It was a position he considered to be at the apex of public life. He detailed its various duties as the direct representative in Australia of our head of state, the British monarch, duties under our Constitution, duties to the functioning of Parliament, the executive and the courts, duties to the armed services, duties both ceremonial and community focused. But in his view, just as important as carrying out the commitments of the office is the conduct and character of the office holder. He stressed that a Governor-General must be guided by two dominant interests. One, the stability of government no matter from which political party it is drawn, and two, regard for the total and non-partisan overall interests of the people and the nation. Sir Paul said that the Governor-General helps ensure that those who conduct the affairs of the nation do so strictly in accordance with the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth and with due regard to the public interest. Friends, the position of Governor-General is one tethered to tradition, one steeped in service, and one imbued with integrity. In Her Excellency, Sam Mostyn, we have a distinguished Australian, someone who is worthy of the distinguished office of Governor-General, someone who will serve it with distinction, as she's always done in her public life. Our 28th Governor-General brings to her position many qualities: her judiciousness as a legal practitioner, her knowledge as a political policy advisor, her acumen as a businesswoman and senior executive, her leadership as a board member, chair, and most notably as an AFL commissioner, and her inspired observance of rugby league and rugby union as well, I might say, Your Excellency. Her compassion as a campaigner for many causes, but most importantly, Her Excellency possesses a decency and humility which will see her connect with everyday Australians and dignitaries here and across the world. Your Excellency, we have every confidence that you will not only carry out your commitments as Governor-General with honour, but that your conduct and character will be befitting the honour and history of this great office. Our nation is grateful for your service to come. I had the great honour of meeting Your Excellency's husband, obviously, but father earlier, and I acknowledge your late mother as well as being heavy influences in your life and having guided you to the person you are today. May you help unite the country through your service, and may our Sovereign King Charles III be well served by you. Congratulations again on behalf of the Coalition.
Ladies and gentlemen, Her Excellency Ms Sam Mostyn, Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia.
Oh, that's very, very generous of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Prime Minister, and thank you, the Leader of Opposition, for those very kind and warm words. Thank you, Serena. Such beautiful words. The Coolman is such a gracious gift from your family, and you'll see, I'll speak a little bit about wattle in a moment, but to have your wattle in the Coolman reminding us that the cods are running and that the food will come is a wonderful gift for me. Thank you for everything that you've done, and thank you to the Wiradjuri Echoes for that beautiful performances that led us in here today. I acknowledge that we are on Ngunnawal land and recognise any other people or families with connection to these lands of the ACT and the surrounding regions, and of course pay my respects to elders past and present. I'm not going to go through the guest list again. I hope I covered you all in the Senate chamber, and I'll spend a lot of time doing that when I'd rather say a few things about you rather than just introducing you. You are all distinguished guests here today, and I wanted to thank you all of you, in all of the roles that you play here, around the world. You play in my family life, my personal life, my business life, my charitable life. You have all touched me in some way, and I couldn't be prouder or happier to see so many people here. The faces that I'm seeing will inspire me as I take up this role this afternoon. We are here in a very special ceremonial place, the Members' Hall. It's located at the very heart of Parliament House. We're sitting or standing directly under a huge flag mast, one of the largest flags in this part of the world. And if you glance around the top of the inlays on the second floor, you'll see the bronze Federation stars that are inlaid and set flush with the timber panelling. The stars represent the states and territories of Australia. And before I offer some general remarks, I want to acknowledge that while we are here today engaged in this very grand ceremonial event, there is actually great pain being experienced in North Queensland in the wake of a terrible bus crash on the Bruce Highway. We hear about these all the time, crashes, disasters, but today I'd like to think that given that precious lives have been lost overnight and many are still fighting for their lives in hospital in Queensland, that the thoughts of everyone in this room are with them and their families and the first responders at this difficult time. While we were all together in the Senate chamber, you wouldn't have heard it, but there was a 21-gun salute to mark the change of Governor-General. It took place on the forecourt of Parliament House. I want to extend my deep appreciation to the Federation Guard and the members of the firing party. This ceremonial tradition has profound meaning. It is a mark of respect steeped in historical significance and has a clear message for us in the 21st century. The salute literally signifies the emptying of the guns. It commenced in the 17th century when naval warships would discharge their cannons when entering a foreign port to send a simple message, a clear message, a loud message. We mean no harm, we come in peace. Isn't that what military service is all about? Safeguarding the peace. Every serviceman and woman, when returning from duty, will attest that their mission was to secure peace. It is what I heard my father talk about during his many years of service, particularly after he spent time away from us to play his role. This is the essence of the 21-gun salute, service embodying a commitment to peace. And throughout our history, Australia's Governors-General have maintained a special bond with the women and men of our Defence Forces. And I acknowledge the presence today here of all Defence personnel. As I assume the role of Commander-in-Chief, I reflect on the words of Sir Zelman Cowen, who described it as a role giving expression to a special and distinctive relationship between the Governor-General and the armed forces of the Commonwealth. Sir Ninian Stevens similarly described this role like this: a close relationship of sentiment based neither upon control nor command, but which in our democratic society expresses on the one hand the nation's pride in and respect for its armed forces, and on the other the willing subordination of the member of those forces to the civil power. Now you may know, or you may not know, that given the very special arrangement of this building and its architecture, when all of the ground floor doors are open, as they are open at the front, if they were all open towards the back, we would all have an uninterrupted view from the Prime Minister's office, through the Cabinet Suite, and all the way through this hall, down to the public entrance and onto the War Memorial. If you get a chance to look from where you are a bit later down to the War Memorial, you'll see a clear view today, given this glorious blue sky day in Canberra. Now the reason for that is clear. It's a deliberate connection between those that exercise the civil power in the Cabinet room and the consequence of their actions that can be cited in the Australian War Memorial. It's a fundamental part of this building. There are many other stories of this building that tell us so much about the place of decisions made here and our democracy. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter in the enduring relationship with Defence, and I commit fully to this partnership, not as someone who has ever held a military position, but with the particular experience and perspective of growing up in that army family I've spoken of, where our attendance at Anzac Day services was a feature of our childhoods. It's also why I am so delighted that my father, my dad, standing right here, is here to witness this moment. as his almost 40-year service to Australia was something we observed and understood at very close range. Together with my mum's unwavering focus on care for others, it set a foundation of values for us as a family and has, in the most subtle and sometimes surprising of ways across my adult life, underpinned my commitment to contribute to building a better future for this country. For some of my sisters, it meant something deeper. My sister Alex married a military man, a graduate of Duntroon, Ian Cruikshank, who he himself served in the same corps, Signals Corps, as my father for Australia before he retired to other jobs with his family. And it's wonderful to have them both here, and my entire family, including my lovely sister Sally, who I know you're feeling the emotion of today, Sally. It's so wonderful that you're here. And crying is not a bad thing, darling. It's not a bad thing today. Now, you will have noticed that Simeon and I, Lottie and our family are all wearing sprigs of wattle today. It was lovely to have the connection, Serena, to your wattle. The wattle is, of course, our national floral emblem and forms part of the Governor-General's emblem. If you visit Government House, you'll see a very famous portrait of the young Queen Elizabeth, painted by Sir William Dargie, resplendent in a yellow gown adorned with a wattle motif. She's wearing a wattle brooch gifted to her by Sir Robert Menzies. As winter encroaches, the wattle will be blazing its way across the country, an explosion of colour, of optimism and excitement in the bush. Now, it's the people and places that form and shape us. Beyond my wonderful family, who I love dearly, it is the many people in this room and this place itself, our Parliament House, that have been the significant presences and influences in my life. I'm not going to go into great detail, but if you'll indulge me to share a few personal reflections. When I was 10 years old, I had my first encounter with the position of Governor-General. I'll never forget it. From a bed in the casualty department of the Woden Hospital, I watched live coverage of the 1975 dismissal as my broken ankle was being set in plaster. I wouldn't have seen that event but for televisions in hospitals. But for that fateful turn of events, I'm not sure my public school primary self would have shown much interest in our constitutional arrangements, our parliament and our democracy. Instead, when a couple of months later our 6th grade class visited Old Parliament House, I was hooked. Living in Canberra when finishing high school and college and then studying law at ANU during the 1980s gave me the chance to watch this magnificent new Parliament House gradually emerge from within Capitol Hill. I still feel a deep personal attachment to this building and its relationship with our democratic system. Now, I'm not going to name call everybody, but a few people I wouldn't mind mentioning, but some of my oldest friends, Gillian and Stephen, who are here today, who we knew very well in those days and have stayed very close to throughout my life and Simeon's life. Stephen shared with us stories at the time of the construction of this building as his father, Armando, an Italian immigrant from Trieste, who still lives here down in Deakin in Canberra, was one of the men who worked with the marble, which we see so vividly throughout this place. In fact, Prime Minister, I think he installed the marble in the suite of the Prime Minister. And as the building was taking final shape, I was studying law at ANU with my dear friend, Robert Beach-Jones, now Justice Beach-Jones, whose elevation as a High Court Justice in another grand building not so far away from here we celebrated last year as he was elevated to his exalted position. And you heard the Prime Minister describe his wife, Susie Miller's extraordinary performances on the world stage with her writing and her plays and the mark she is making. These were the people that were attached to our growing up in Canberra and then moving out. Because after the Queen opened the building in 1988, I was on the move to Sydney, where I had the remarkable privilege of working for Justice Michael Kirby in the New South Wales Court of Appeal. I can attribute to Michael my formative understanding of the law and justice and its impact on our society, and the need for compassion and love in how we treat each other, wherever we find each other. Michael, I am thrilled and touched that you are here today with your lifelong partner, Johan. I've been coming back to Parliament House in very different ways ever since, forming an understanding of the workings of government and Parliament and building lifelong friendships across the entire political landscape, Many of the policy advisors that Simeon and I worked with when we were here became very dear friends. We weren't troubled by the difference in the political parties we may have been giving advice to, and all those people went on. Many of them are now ministers and members of parliaments or senators in this place, and they remain deep friends, no matter the political hue. It was also a very important part of my personal life because it was here, just down around the corner at the cafe known as Aussies, that I met Simeon. We were both working as policy advisors here, but we did not know each other. We were circling each other, and then with the help of a few friends, we were encouraged to go on a date to Mrs. Yip out in Dixon, if you must know. We went back to Chairman and Yip the other night with our daughter, now almost 27 years later, to mark that occasion. But meeting Simeon, of course, was transformative. He has deepened and enriched my understanding of First Nations history in this country because his father, an emeritus professor of anthropology, an English immigrant who came to this country to learn about great peoples, spent time in the Torres Strait with Eddie Mabo and then in Western New South Wales with many leading Indigenous people to work with them on the preservation of language and culture. And it was through Simeon and his family that many Aboriginal people here today and around in our world became deep friends. So this is not academic for us, it is about the care and kindness of friends. We also came into this great hall with Lottie when she was a young woman to attend the national apology to the stolen generations, with the late Ramata Marika, who was a co-director on the board of Reconciliation Australia when I served. I'm so delighted to see Fred Chaney here and Shelley Rays. I want to acknowledge Tom Calmer as the Reconciliation Australia co-chair and all of the First Nations leaders and representatives here today. You also get to come back to Parliament regularly to do some fun things. I come back regularly for Friends of the AFL, and Prime Minister, I'll come back for the Friends of Rugby League or any other sporting code or cultural pursuit because I'm just innately curious and want to keep those connections. There's also the Friends of Women in Sport for any parliamentarians who'd like to pick that up as well. So working in the last 20 years within and around so many communities across sectors and industries and topics, what it's taught me, and particularly I want to give you this assertion today, it's taught me how to be able to change hats, understand the requirements of the role and pay respect to all. I see Geoffrey Cousins here in the audience. Geoffrey was the kindest man who, when I was working as an advisor here, picked me out of here and offered me my first large, difficult, complicated corporate job and showed me what it meant to have care at the centre of delivering shareholder value and doing good things in the corporate sector. Geoffrey, I'll never forget you encouraging me to start my business career because it was business that then took me into many other relationships and the relationship between business and shareholders and communities, profit and doing good. And these are things that I've been changing hats for the rest of my professional career. Today, the hat I put on is quite clearly not a business job. It's not a political job. It's not a policy job. I go into it with an absolutely clear mind about me being a new Governor-General, a contemporary Governor-General, and one that will understand clearly that those jobs that I've done in the past are not going to be pursued while I'm in this office. Now, while the ceremonies today have centred on the office of the Governor-General and me, it's extraordinary, goodness, the most important reflection today really is about all Australians and my promise to represent you all here, anybody watching the broadcast and everyone I will meet and that Simeon and I will meet across the country. Now, it would have been preposterous and inconceivable to that 10-year-old girl sitting in a hospital in 1975, curious as she was about the workings of our Parliament and the Governor-General, it'd be preposterous that she might one day be sworn into the role of Governor-General. But here we are, revealing that Australia is indeed capable of great change. In thanking you all today, I want to once again say to Simeon, to Lottie, wherever she might be, there she is, to my family, to my dear friends, we're on a journey. I know it has big impact on all of you. We're going to do it well, we're going to do it with great honour and distinction, but we'll do it in a contemporary way. And I don't want any harm to come to my husband and daughter or for them to pay a price other than to enjoy this incredible adventure together with me. I also want to thank, right now, all the many dedicated people who brought life to our ceremonies today. The behind-the-scenes job for this set of ceremonies is extraordinary. The most incredible array of protocol people, people who've devoted months to making sure that you all arrived, that we were able to join with each other in the Senate, and now wait for the bells to ring. So I want to say thank you to all of them. I really look forward to meeting and spending more time with those of you I don't know, but in the meantime, thank you for your absolutely wonderful support. I'm now going to get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, that now concludes the formalities.
That's Excellency, Major Catherine Best, Officer Commanding Australia's Federation Guard. The Guard is ready for your inspection.
Federation Guard! Royal salute! Present! Arms! And shoulder! Arms! Australia's Federation Guard! General salute! Present! Arms!